This is Dan Max at EXP Realty, aka the Trading Agent, and this is your AM chat for Tuesday, November 1st, 2022. Messed up the intro. Gonna be a long day. No, I'm just kidding. I appreciate everybody who's following, subscribing, involved. Mucho appreciation. Want to get into a few things today that, again, not so much related totally to the markets, but a lot of the psychology, and just want to talk about some general things. Because again, if you're new to the channel and you have not watched the Back to Beginner series, what to do the Monday and Tuesday before the FOMC, it's usually a choppy mess, but now you complicate it. You got the FOMC and the first 3 trading days of the month. Why does that matter? New money coming in, 401k, IRAs, pensions, mutual funds piling in the stocks, because they have to allocate for a new month. Talked about that, and a lot of people don't understand that stuff. Again, if you are newer, do me one favor. Watch the Back to Basics. I guarantee it's worth subscribing. I guarantee the content you will see here for free is better than everything you see on the internet. I spent about, 30 minutes kind of flipping around watching market recaps and kind of just seeing what other people are doing on the internet, because I don't follow anyone. You want to, just like yourself, you can follow me starting with, but ultimately you are making the decision, so you have to be aware of your own evidence that you're following and deciding to trade on. And the average person insight that I picked up off the internet, off of YouTube videos, I don't want to be mean, but none of it had any value. It really was all crap. It was all a bunch of just talking about generalities, about what they think about the market versus the things that we talk about, which are what? What do the market makers want to do? What are the games? What are the traps? What are the anticipations? What are the things you should be looking for? It drives me absolutely bonkers to see people giving advice on the market when they don't really understand the perspectives of what the market is meant to do. Again, it's meant to take the most amount of money for the most amount of people. Do not ever get that twisted. That's why we talk about day trading being the equivalent of a gambling addiction, trying to predict every up move, every down move, every single tick. That is aggressively stupid, because you just can't. Now, there's breadcrumbs that we talked about, because again, volume price analysis, points of control, support resistance, moving averages, fibs. There's little things, and especially volume. It all matters. But the thing is that you have to remember, you can't predict 6.5 hour trading day perfectly. It's just not possible. And if you sit around thinking that you're going to be able to figure that out, I would just tell you now to quit. Now, a lot of people probably don't want to hear that, but that's the truth of it. Again, you're putting pressure on yourself to execute against machines, algorithms, and institutions that have millions upon millions of dollars of research and capacity. You, my friend, me, have very little compared to them. So we are always just trying to, what I would say, swim in the wake of the whale. We can't really move markets. We can't. Like Livermore's books, that stuff, understanding the operators, makes sense if you understand what the operators are trying to do. But if you're reading crap about Elliott wave theory and Gann theory and all this option stuff that's really difficult to predict, remember, your slight emotions and your intentions can kind of, what I would say, guide you and steer you the way you want. Now, some of that stuff is helpful. At times, it's correct. But probability-wise, it's better than a coin flip, but that still isn't great. People who know that we try to, what we do is, we're usually right 80-85% of the time. And a lot of that has to do with not trying to predict everything, waiting for certain things, letting things play out, knowing the repeating patterns. We talk about repeating patterns. Nobody thinks that, they understand the markets until they literally study them, you think, right? No, but people show up every day and they go, oh, I've been watching the market for 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever. Oh, I got it figured out. Nah, man, nah. And that's why I'm ranting on the mindset, because the next thing is the emotions. As much as I love the Discord room and trying to help people, I can always tell who's emotional. Your comments say a lot. And again, that's not a bad thing, but you have to be cognizant of your own thoughts. Like, keep that in mind, because if you were scared, that's telling you something. If you were overconfident, that is telling you something. You guys know I've printed my notes out and put it on the Discord room, 4 pages about the mindset of how my brain would feel certain ways, and then I would trigger certain reactions, right? Oh, I am winning. I can't lose. Like that mindset, like, oh, Dan, you've won 10 trades in a row. You can't lose. No, every trade is independent of the last. The probabilities are what they are. My choices of picking, say, supposedly winners has no predication on the next trade. Like, it's all independent. And that's the thing. And people, when they're scared, like, if you're scared, you're clearly missing out on a point of information, and you're focused on things that are the unknowns. Well, what do you know? That's how I try to calm my fears. People talk about, yesterday the market pops, pulls back and chops. And what do we know? Market can be fickle before the FOMC. Not surprised. SPY chopping around. That's not a surprise, no? But what do we also know? The Feds probably don't want to tank the market in front of an election. They don't want to own that. They don't want to put that on their plate and own that. Literally, own it. A lot of things going on. You got to have a journal. I say this over and over and over again. Again, if you want to go follow other people who are just telling you how to get the right, get the answers, and you want to be attached to their nipple when it comes to trading, go right ahead. I'm trying to teach you how to do this so that you can trade on your own. You don't need me. Again, one day you'll thank me. As I say, the student ready, the teacher appears. But I know for a fact you have to have a journal. You have to know what your thoughts are and your perceptions are of the market, because they are going to influence your decision making. People are like, oh, you're cocky, or you're I don't know the right word, you're confident. And it's like, no, because I've seen everything. Think about this. You show up to work for 20 years off, again, off and on. I haven't been fully trading every day for 20 years. That's just crazy. But you show up for work 80% of the time for 20 years, you're gonna be able to do your job pretty damn well. That's all I got to say. So, is there any questions about the mindset? Please ask now. I mean, this is kind of just a free chat, because as we talk about and get into the market, we expect this, chop before the Feds. Is anyone really going to make a huge move before the Feds actually announce what they're going to do? That seems crazy. So no, the market's going to get what? Probably chop around, probably bounce around, headline bullish, bearish, they're going to pop out. The data, just curious what all right, construction spending came in a little light. The ISM manufacturing was 50.2. Nothing really. I mean, again, data, pretty neutral. Nothing really much to tinker about and think about. Can I get a mic check just to make sure I am not talking to myself? And then maybe I'll throw this ad in there. See, again, I'm trying to be careful with these things. And not, I didn't realize, if you press it, it actually throws an ad in. Okay, cool. I'm like, oh, wow. I think one time by accident, it froze or something. I pressed it 4 times. I was like, oh, God, that's a problem. Okay, we're good. Any questions so far about this stuff? Because again, like Shannon, like you said, you're scared of the market. You're all cash. That's fine. That's not a bad place to be. But when you're scared, think about what that means in the sense of your emotions and how you can actually execute in the markets. Because again, if you're fearful, you're going to start seeing things differently than if you're neutral, right? It's like talking to again, not to say you're a child, but think about it from our brains. Like, we turn into little children, and how something can seem so scary that's not really that scared, but but fear takes a hold of somebody, and it's like, is it really that big a deal? And I always tell that to people. That's why you have to be very careful of your emotions. You have to breathe, you have to stay calm, and you have to know your facts. And then one of the facts that I anticipate is the market is just going to chop around before the FOMC. Again, do you think the Feds are going to tank it? Probably not. Earnings are coming out. What do we say? Earnings are bullish. First 3 business days of the month are usually bullish. Go look at the Stock Traders Almanac. I mean, today is a bullish day. Now, it doesn't have to be every day, but there's 3 bullish days this week. Again, if the market doesn't take in October, it typically rises. These are all things you have to have in the back of your mind. Now, again, I'm not saying you have to jump in and go all in something, but you just, if a trade looked correct, don't be scared to take it. That's all. That's all. That's just my whole thing. Like, do you see how when you start thinking and being scared, that it can be tough. It makes it all tough. That's why the emotions are the problem. Looking to add to the IWM position. I mean, here, let's get into some of this if you want to look at it. IWM, I mean, it's opening at the highs and probably going to close, I would imagine, around 185. It might not really be much. Good morning, Joe. This is not surprising. You go up, you pull back a couple of days. We still haven't hit our target zones. Now, this is the thing where you raise stops if something ultimately changes. But my guess, and I'm sticking to it, is the Feds are going to do what? They're going to try to play, like, they're going to talk hawkish, like their statement, but then I think they're going to try to sound what I would consider dovish. Dovish means, less rate hikes. Pivot, not really, but less rate hikes. Just try to like give the market something to hang its hand on and create a headline that gets the market rallying and gets people to go, oh, I got to buy the market. That's what I would anticipate. Now, again, how that plays out from now and to then, that's where you got to be careful. I mean, that's the $1 million question. We don't know. I mean, I can anticipate this, and personally, looking at the action, I mean, here's my guess. Let me see if we can. Let me if I can throw the 10-minute up here. Maybe let's just bring in the hourly. Get in here. It's just this like stair-step pattern, right? And if you have a little M top today, we'll see how it plays out. I think you might have just more of like a little bit of like a broadening pattern, maybe. I don't know, just something like this. I mean, I don't know how you want to draw it, but that's my anticipation. I mean, again, because the market's not going to sell off unless the Feds say something, or which they're not. They're they're in their meeting now. It's quiet. It's their quiet period. Yeah, there's no need to chase. But if you see dips, I mean, you can absolutely trade it. We talked about if CF near 105 this morning, you could buy it. Now, if you woke up and chased Aaron, Alcoa, I feel bad for you. I mean, we like that stock. I'll go in a second. Or again, if you're reacting. Remember, the first hour of the day, we talk about amateur hour. Again, this is stuff nobody talks about on any other Discord. It was amazing. Nobody talks about anything related to the market mechanism other than their beliefs in like, well, I've been trading for 3 years and I think this is what the market... No. Study the past. Question everything. Why does Dan say this stuff? Why does it matter? Because of experience. You can experience and understand it too. But at this point, remember, it's not even... I mean, this is the earliest I've ever done a chat, and the reason why I'm doing it is because there's really nothing for me to do today. I don't really think of anything. It's it's still during amateur hour. Not surprised. Does anyone remember the talk about sometimes you see the highs and the lows of the day sometimes in the first hour of the day? That used to be a major thing. You get the highs and the lows. Now again, today's action market's a little different. I just don't really anticipate a crash, but I actually would anticipate probably a rally into the later in the day, because who has money to put to work, right? If new money is coming into the market and they see a dip, do you think they will support this? You have to ask this question as simple as it can. Oh, but this isn't technical, Dan. Oh, well, you got to show me on No. I need you to think about the market and the mechanisms and the players in the game. Playa. If you're an institution who's like, all right, we got to put money to work, it's the new month, and the market's down, are you going to put money into the market? Absolutely, you would. You're like, oh, it's a dip. Great. Awesome. Does this make sense? Any questions, thoughts about this? Because, again, you have to understand the market. Oh, no one talks about the market makers and the players in the game. They just think of it from their perspective, and it's so stupid. It's so dumb. Oh, I think this about the market. Well, you've been trading for 3 years. You don't know crap about the market. Or you've been trading for 6 months. You don't know anything about the market. I mean, that's how I used to think. Like, oh, I'm the center of the market world. No, why would you not want to understand how the game is actually played? If you're trying to understand, like, how to play chess against grand champions, you need to understand their, like, intentions, how they do the work. All right. I guess no one really likes to talk about the mindset. I'm not surprised, but that shit by far is by far the most important part. We can talk about charts all day, but if your brain is mush, you can't trade worth anything. It's just the reality of it. UNG, let me check that out. AD Doc, how you doing today, buddy? I mean, we're back at the point of control. Man, my lines just all got jacked up. You could draw it a little wider. I mean, it's funny because natural gas and oil just seem to have every day. It's going to be colder than expected, hotter than expected. This, that. Again, if you think gas is at the bottom, then yes, this is, you can start adding into this. 19, I mean, that's a pretty big move. Went from 20 down to 19. These are the things you have to understand about trading, and you probably get this, but I'm just talking about generalities. Everyone gets so excited to see V moves, and the problem is a lot of times it's not. It's choppy bottoms. And this is where we talk about the ability to, all right, if you layer in and it V bottoms, well, that's good, but then you maybe miss out on some. But if you play the odds and the probabilities that a trade is a bottoming process with points of control, it gets really fun. Because then if it retests, you go, okay, I'll buy a little more. And then it holds, I'll buy a little more. Okay, well, how many times can you buy something at a certain point? Well, that's up to you. But as long as you know now, with certainty, the hard line in the sand, then you're good. I think at this point, UNG, again, it's tough to chart this thing because of natural gas. Let me pull up the nat gas futures. I think that's just the way to look at it. Tough to say. I mean, I would think, again, I'm just talking out loud, ID, but don't you think $6 area would be a pretty important area? $6 as a round price for natural gas? I would think so. Yes, mic check, 1212, what it is. Hope that helps, my friend. Nat gas, I kind of gave up on it. Not that I don't trust commodities going higher. I still anticipate that at some point. That's how the feds get backed into the corner. Don't put baby in the corner. Well, guess what? For the feds to raise more and the market to absolutely unload, you're going to have to see higher. You're going to have to see them postulate that they're going to say, hey, we're raising more. We really got to kill inflation. And we all know you can't kill inflation when you have supply issues. Now, again, they're trying to affect demand. But if you're not producing this stuff, I don't give a crap how high they raise rates. It doesn't matter. So does that make sense? So asked out UNG, IWM positioning. Yeah, I would just wait. AAA retesting. Joe, did you get in on AA yesterday? We talked about the point of control being 39. That's where the big dogs were hunting. They were going to support price. You were like, how'd you know 39 area was a buy? Well, here's the start of the gap. We talked about this could anywhere in this zone. This candle right here says a lot. I say this all the time, and no one ever references it ever, and that's fine. And I stole this from TraderFlorida.net, if you know him. Great guy. Really good trader. Does his homework. I would say is again, a student of the game. One of the things that he used to always love talking about, because again, I've had lots of people I've followed and studied under and been in the business for a long time. High volume highs, high volume lows make sense. People talk about dark pools and money. Let the charts talk, because where something closes, where they, and where they come in at means a lot. So this area, to me, probably going to be defended. Now it could get, we see 37.50, if it goes below it, there's no guarantees. And if it does, it probably comes back down to 35. But this close right here, where something closes matters. Where something opens matters, because think about the emotions of the opening hour and the closing, right? The operators move the biggest amount of volume in the first and last hour of the day. Do we not all understand that? Is this clear? So if the operators are moving during these times, because this is where the highest amount of liquidity, where something opens and where it closes is important. Now, again, these are all tools. There's no if it closes here, it has to go higher. No. We're trying to add layers of solid complexity that aren't too confusing, right? So if you see that area and you watched it on Friday, hold there, and you retest it here today, not today, yesterday, at some point you can anticipate what? It going higher. Right? That's all I can really say. When, how, what's the reason? I don't really know. This is the problem with people who are the why folks when it comes to trading. Like, why? Sometimes the why doesn't happen until when? After the trade's already started. We also talked about yesterday too. Yeah, really great risk reward. This is a backside of the trend line. I love a breakout and a backside test. Now, again, people will make the joke. You just said backside. You like the backside. Okay, well, yes, of the trend line. Because sometimes that happens. You break out and back test it, then go. Again, just little things you watch for, because that pattern happens a lot. Because if you think about the market maker, you get everybody excited about chasing, and then it pulls back and it gets everybody to puke, and then they rip it. Right? That's why sometimes trend lines have to be very cognizant. You have to be cognizant of what they are. Right? Like they're big stop-go signs to the whole market. The whole market can see a trend line. We not agree? You, me, everybody, if we can draw one and it's clear as day, everybody can see it. Well, sometimes what the market makers do that. They'll let it pull out, break out, and then pull it back. Those backside of the trend line test, at a swing point, at the point of control, at where the big dogs were acting, people don't. Yesterday people don't realize. Usually I'm like a half layer into a half a position max on a day. I got in 2/3 because I was like, man, this is the second day. I don't know. Luckily, it worked out. It gapped up. I can't add at this point. I'll wait. And again, it's the Fed day, and I'm not gonna really chase it up 2 points at one point. $3, yeah, good trade, but not. Good risk reward. Now people go, where is it going upside? It really depends on if the market rises, right? Just don't be surprised if the market holds up. This thing could get, remember, market makers took a lot of liquidity off of this stock, right? I don't know for sure. And again, and this is the thing about people who are like, what's your upside target? I don't really dig that deep into my upside target. Now, again, I'm looking at it. I can see it. But my first thing about getting in a trade, and write this down if you don't do, my goal isn't to guess where it's going to go. It's to make sure the trade's going to work first. Let's not put the cart before the horse here. Oh, if I start dreaming about 70s and the trade, I'm not even confirmed to the evidence that's bottomed, I'm an idiot and who's going to probably get, tunnel vision into a belief that, this thing's going much higher. Right? You got to be very, very careful about that. And now we can start drawing in some fibs. Got the 0.25. Again, I love it when the 0.382, maybe at the 200 day. Why do my fibs? Oh, I got to save it. You just got to be thoughtful. You just got to be thoughtful, guys, gals, friends. A lot of people in their minds, you got to be careful of, literally of just anticipating something before it happens. Now, because again, we all want to believe this is going to happen. But you always have to, again, evidence, prove I'm right until it's wrong kind of thing. Or prove it wrong until it's right. Sorry, I messed that up. Does that make sense, though? You look for the evidence. And if you start, now again, because remember, the brain's going to, as soon as you get into a trade, you don't get into a trade anticipating to lose. Our brains don't have this mindset when we take on speculative positioning in anything in our life that we're going to lose. Maybe some people believe it because they're just wired, because they have some trauma in their life. But in general, the average person, probably most people watching this, listeners, are going to go, I get into a trade, I think it's going higher. Okay, know your brain is telling you that, but does your brain control the market? No, not at all. So that's where it has to be evidence-based. Okay, how many days could it hold here? I don't know. I looked in the past. I'm like, man, it could be a while, but at least this area matters. That's all it is. All right, now it gaps up, not doing anything. Not over trading it. We'll see what happens. Tech looks like crap, typically, as it always does. We talked about the laggards. This gaps up. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine at this point. Other than what? I know my stop and my entry. That's all you got to really know at this point. Because again, people add so many layers of complexity. Why did it gap up today? I don't know. Maybe it had an upgrade. Maybe not. I mean, maybe the speculative is that Elon's going to take a stake in Alcoa because he's alone. You can read all the crap you want to read. I don't do that. I don't pollute my brain with stuff that's going to confuse me from the chart, because the chart will talk if you learn to listen, right? It's like the field of dreams. Like, if you build it, they will come. If you listen, it will tell you everything you need to know. Not always with 100% probability, but way better than reading the stupid news. I mean, freaking A. Where's Mike at? Mike, you on here? Posting Kitco news about gold. I've read Kitco news for 20 years, or not 20 years, like 10 years incessantly until I stopped a couple years ago. I mean, I've never seen so many people publish gold stuff that was just constantly wrong. And that's the news for you. Now, is there intention to mislead people about gold? I don't know. But again, I mean, you look for exterior motives and thoughts about your trades. I'm telling you, you're putting yourself in a position to get confused. Look at the damn charts. You guys seen those like TikToks and memes, and it's that guy like swinging that hammer around his head, and he's like, go to the gym. Go to the damn gym. All right, go to the charts. Study the charts. No, Dan, let me go look at the options chain action. I think I can determine based on the gamma potential and the hedging within the delta, hedging some of the delta action going into earnings. I think that, again, I studied that stuff for a long time. Honestly, when we first started trading in the 90s, that's what we're using options. They're very expensive. Tried to get an edge on it. Now there's so many participants. I mean, I gave up on that stuff, and I don't try not to be mean to folks, but it's like, again, the whole lingo. I mean, I don't even pay any attention to the option because I've tried to be like a pin action guy. Tried to think about, okay, this is going to happen based on that. I don't know who the participants are anymore. I don't know okay, you see a bunch of options go off. Oh, heat seeker, high volume action on a particular stock. Okay. Well, remember, if someone trades, say, 10,000 options, someone had to take the other side of that trade, right? So, and again, so this is the hardest thing. So thinking about the news, sorry to digress, remember, the stock market climbs a wall of worry. Always know that. Like, that's what the market does. It always climbs the wall of worry. There's never perfect investing time, other than when everyone's freaking out and going bonkers and the market's at the lows. Everything else is just climbing the wall of worry, and it doesn't have to be in a straight line. So, all right. Going to talk about the Discord room. Purged a lot of people. Again, I got people asking to come into the room every day, and then I have hundreds of people who don't participate, do not bring any comments, don't bring any value. I apologize if you're listening to this and you're going, why am I not in the room? Well, again, if you're not involved, you can hang out in these chats, see you on social media. Not a big deal. It's nothing personal. So, it just is what it is. I really want people who want to be involved and want to learn. Not people who just want to follow. Because again, following me doesn't make you a better trader. It might teach you some things, but ultimately you have to get involved. It's like having a coach versus the player in the game. I'm not the player in your game. I can be a coach, but I can't hit and execute for you, and neither do I want to. You don't want me to either. You want to develop your own style, your own potential. Champagne, Poppy, Drizzy, waiting for Biden to retire to make more moves. I don't think he's going to retire, my friend. But anyway, who knows? Kitco is the worst of the news. They were secretly selling gold at 2000 when they went public. More pumping. Australian activists disclosed that they sued him for defamation. Yeah, dude, Kitco's the worst. Someone post that crap. Ugh. Big Ugly, what's up, buddy? How's it going? Yeah, Kitco's crap. And honestly, seeing them post bearish stuff makes me think that gold probably rallies with the Fed. Absolutely rallies now. Like, if they're posting bearish stuff saying hedge funds are going to keep the price down until, the pivot. Now, again, let's look at gold. Check this real quick why I might even say it might bounce. Trend line, low end of range. Check the monthly. Check out the monthly. What do you see? Right? What do you see? Down a lot. Down a lot. Now, again, I don't have a problem with down a lot on the monthly, but man, people said like 7 straight months. It's going to be choppy. People ask us, when's the best time to buy gold? It's always in December. Do you want to see why? Let's go. Let's go. I don't want to hear this question again in the Discord room. No, I'm just kidding. If you ask it, try to do a little homework. Last year, I literally did a video. Go check it on December 15th, 2021. Why gold was stuck. Why it would unstick after tax law selling. There's a Fed meeting. There was, I don't remember. There's 4 reasons. Anyway, mid-December, rip. I think the only year that didn't really do it, was 2020 because of COVID stuff. However, you did have like a bottom in early December and pop and flop, but whatever, don't really count that. Mid-December, you had the bottom in November, a higher low, nice run into spring. Now, again, this is all a December bottom spring run. That's the thesis of it always. December, you had a pullback. Again, even any weakness goes higher, confirmed higher. Now, was it the ultimate bottom? Not every time. But here you go, a December bottom, nice rip. A December bottom, a nice rip. I mean, if Eric's on here, he knows like literally that's the only trade worth for gold sometimes. He's like literally that's the only thing he'll ever trade in gold is this run every year. December 2015 starts a nice rip. December of 2014, you had the OPEX bottom retest at the end of, in January. It still ripped. Oh man, what happened on that chart? Anyway. December 2013, double bottom. It bottomed during OPEX, retested last day of the year. Are you getting tired of this yet? 2012, remember this was the top. You still had a little bottom and pop. Ugh, not that strong. But again, that's after a monster run. December 2011, OPEX, retest, rip. Yes, Eric, I agree. You might literally just, once you make enough money in trading, you just wake up in December, buy gold, and then shut it off. 2010, not really, because again, up in a little, it was just different times. Now, again, remember, this is not every year. Here you go, a peak in December, which is interesting. That's a different, remember, think about this. This is like running up. Usually gold's been going nowhere for the last decade. Seasonality, here you go. December drop, then a rip into the spring. Remember, this is not every year, but it's pretty sideways to a rip into the spring. I mean, all right, I'm done. I'm back into like 2007. Here you go. A bottom. Okay, we had a lower low in January. That's the first time you saw a legitimate lower low in January, and then rip. So 1 out of that 14 times. December pullback, went higher. Man, I could go on and on. It's like people are like, what are you talking about? Okay, here's another time where December low was met with a lower low in January. Oh, look at that. Well, that's when the GLD IPO'd. And look at that. The SPY is back up as we speak. Oh, look at that. UAN, high of the day. Man, I just... All right. Remember we talked about for NTR, Mosaic, CF, at any ag name, seeing them open down, close high would be not bearish. Should help out the rest of the day. Why are people talking about meta? Such crap. Anyway, that's what they do. They gotta really go after it. Any questions? Yeah, Eric, you and I are gonna retire at some point. Probably, I don't know, 10 years, and then probably trade gold. I mean, when it's the bull market, it's gonna be a little different. That's breaking out because again, that's probably gonna be the reason why you will be retired is trading the bull market commodities as we recommend, and that's coming. But after that, it'll be like, when gold's at, and you want to take a guess where gold's at in 10 years? Just curious. I mean, I'm pretty sure it'll be trading around the $10,000 range would be my next guess. Something like that. then, every year you play it and it drops 1,000 points and rallies 3,000. Who knows? Lovely stuff. I'm going to rip through all these stocks then if you don't have any questions. Oh, yeah, dude. The commodity run, again, if I wasn't as stupid as as I was back in the day, like I made a ton of money shorting 2008, 2009. If I would have been smart about my gambling, because again, I didn't realize like a tech rally was coming after a commodity bull market. Because again, I kept trading commodities and they acted like crap for 10 years. That was part of the problem, and then you learn to pivot. Again, why pivoting matters. Again, you stick to a thesis that doesn't work. You pay for it dearly with your life. No, I mean, just in general. Hence why I keep trying to tell people, like, please leave tech alone for the next whatever amount of years. Just, you're not going to enjoy it. But, they'll people who don't know, go watch the video I did in November on the tech war. Who wins it? It's not tech. Tech is the army fighting the battle, while commodities are the bullets that allow them to fight endlessly. We want to buy the tanks, the bullets. I feel like if I said guns, people like Google would flag this, but not like, no, we're talking in metaphors if you're listening, Google, for war. So, hope this helps. I mean, I'm just genuinely watching the market in the background. People, remember we talked about you could buy CF at 105. Yeah, I mean, that popped right back. I mean, it's the low end of range. You're just getting like this. It's tight action. Consolidation. Someone said it looks like someone has a pin on it. Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's tight action. I think they're going to go with earnings, or when oil starts going, commodities all start lifting. Yeah, just look at the tech wreck of 2000. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I lived the tech wreck, but I believed in the commodity bull thesis after 2009 because I still thought China would develop, the rest of the world would develop, and we'd be under resourced. But the problem is that even at cheap valuations with those commodity companies, because they never traded at tech PEs. That's what I was kind of anticipating, that they would blow out and go nuts like the .com bubble, and they did not. Once they died, they did not come back to life. That's a mistake you make from experience. Makes you a better trader. And people always like, I don't want to make mistakes. And it's like, well, then don't trade. I mean, trading is a game of learning from your mistakes. Now, again, that's why I appreciate all the donations and love and support, because you're getting a chance to save out. Your tuition bill hopefully is not going to cost you 6 figures, 7 figures like some of us. Hopefully your tuition bill is nothing like that at all. And that's where getting involved, learning, studying, it's going to make a big difference. You don't need to pay that. And you don't need to follow some... Again, I hate to make fun of the people, but there's a bunch of... I don't know if I call them noobs. What's the best way to describe someone who's been around but doesn't really know what they're talking about? Like, they know enough to be dangerous. Like, those folks are the people that scream the loudest on the internet. And those are the people that literally have the biggest followings, which is just not surprising. Like, it's easy to like think of the market and me to talk like I am the center of the earth if you get hundreds or thousands of people following you, but that's the reality. Is like, I'm a peon that's just trying to do what the market's doing. That's all it is. I'm just trying to do what the market makers are trying to, like, I'm trying to follow them. I'm not gonna ever try to play this game of I know more, you know more. No, novices. Yeah, they're still novices, but my point being is that nobody here controls the markets, and let's not try to pretend. If someone does and they act like they're omnipotent constantly, run away. All of my theories are based on evidence and prior history. I will not ever try to explain to someone that, oh, I just have this belief. Because we all have beliefs, but beliefs are not evidence. Well, they can be evidence-based, but just like, oh, if I have a belief, I hope you see evidence. That's, I guess, the way to rephrase that. Because if I don't have evidence... you don't have evidence, then you're just talking in beliefs from your like higher self, maybe, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I don't want to get into the topic. I'm going to drop a ad real quick while I drink some coffee. I mean, again, nothing's repeatable without evidential. I mean, it's all superficial. I mean, you guys, I don't know. I love getting feedback. If you've been around for a couple months, someone today was like, I'm starting to understand why you talk about the market makers and the perspective of the market from different levels of thinking. And I'm like, yes, you're finally getting it. The market is not some sort of mechanism where they're trying to pay you money. No, they're trying to take your money. It's a casino. Yeah, unless you're an insider trading, how would you know? How would anyone know? Well, here's the thing. I mean, I've known insiders, and just like in the Livermore book, like insiders will tell you what they're doing. You just sometimes don't know the reaction. You know, if a stock is going to announce a higher dividend and it's run up 20%, well, them announcing the dividend doesn't necessarily mean that. Hey, Shannon, I'm glad that helped you. I appreciate the super chat. And, you know, again, hopefully that talk was more worth than $5. But I think I know you well enough to realize that, like, all of you guys share, just like in myself, we all share very similar weaknesses and strengths. You know, because we're all human. Nobody here is, you know, above the human condition. We all have the same background and history, whatever you want to call it. I mean, that's the thing. The mental side of this, people do not realize. Like, they're like, hey, just tell me the damn trade, Dan. Well, okay, I can try to advise you on it, but don't you want to be in the right frame of mind? If you're scared, you can't execute anything with confidence. You're not going to use your stops. You're not going to follow your plans. Interesting as the market pulls back. Sorry, just looking in the background, trying to see if there's anything going. Technical issue on the Toronto Stock Exchange. Yeah, it's like earnings. Good news, bad news. Yeah, you don't know all the reactions. I'm watching Apple pull back to 150. You know, talked about yesterday being an inside day, no position. I really, you know, part of me, and this is where I took my own advice. Again, if you're not having dialogues in your own head, then take it to paper if needed, but you need to. I almost caught myself buying Apple calls yesterday, going, oh, it's probably going to retest the highs, which it probably will. But then I was like, it's an inside day. No, before the Feds, no. Do you see why I have like these notes in front of me? Because I even sometimes go, man, that Apple candle should probably go a little higher. No, Dan, don't do it. Don't do it. I know all of you guys. I think people don't realize, like, every weakness that any one of you have ever had, I've had the same weakness. Because, again, this is the thing about the market. And I say, you know, Eric and some of the guys and Scott, Alan, some of the guys have been around. They know. It's going to expose every mental weakness you have at some point. Overconfidence in your ego. Underconfidence. Fear. You know, the people who are passive when, you know, the people who don't react to stimuli in the sense of, like, sometimes when it's easier to do nothing, be passive, like that kind of reaction. The people who aren't disciplined. The people who don't have a good state of mind, meaning they don't exercise, they don't get, you know, they don't get their proper amount of sleep, they don't, you know, eat well. Like, all this stuff is eventually going to find its way into the market and your emotions. Because, again, your brain is interpreting everything. So if your brain, think of this as like you're a professional athlete and your body is your, you know, your tool for your profession, your brain is the key here. If your brain is not healthy, I mean, it doesn't matter what we talk about. I mean, I can attest to that. You can literally find a way to lose every time. UAN still making higher highs as the day goes on. Carvana up 15%. That's funny. Pfizer's up. I mean, there's not much going on. Toronto Stock Exchange halts. I mean, that's the only news I can see. That's why, I mean, again, if people who are newer to trading, been in trading, it doesn't matter. Like, if you study your best trading, it has to do usually with your capacity to be in the game and mentally dialed in. It's always amazing. My biggest mistakes are usually when I'm not around or I'm not at my computer. And I'm just kind of like, well, the evidence proved this or the evidence proved to be correct previously. I'm just going to assume it's right. And I can't watch and I can't pivot. It's pretty wild. And that's usually my biggest weaknesses. Because again, if I sit in front of the computer, like I don't have like this dialogue in my brain that I'm going to do things that don't make sense. It's very easy because it's like again, you almost like to lay out your desk and your system so that you see the things that you need to see to keep you mentally engaged in the right frame of mind. You know, like if that means for you personally having a lot of notes, just be careful. You can't read everything. Like maybe highlight certain things you need to focus on. Like if one of your weaknesses is indecision, well, how do you become more decisive? Well, first of all, you have in your journal, remember the time when I didn't act and I got ABC? Okay, well, learn from the feedback. Remember the times remember the feedback. I mean, how many times? Sometimes you have to make that mistake 10 times. Okay, if I am feeling this way, what is the best thing to do? If I feel indecisive, I need to zoom in on the evidence. I need to be evidence focused. Okay, well, if I'm betting on the market going higher or stock going higher, well, does the market look like it's going higher? Now, again, don't look at the 5-minute chart. Is the trend up? Is the daily trend up in the market? Okay, well, say you don't know the answer to that. Well, what are the catalysts for the next, what's coming up? Okay, well, right now, it's really hard to get excited about the market breaking out and going higher until the Fed speaks. So I wouldn't trust, maybe this way, I wouldn't believe in monster follow through. Hopefully that's the best way to describe it. Like I don't see CF breaking over 109, 110 without the Feds, without getting past the Fed meeting, right? Especially at this point. Do you see how you start like relying on the evidence and you go look at the charts and you start thinking, okay, my indecisiveness is because of what? Our brain's capacity to rationalize what's going on and not having enough evidence. And so it gets naturally scared. Why do you guys think I don't ever seem really rattled? Because it's like I've literally been in every trap, every problem. I've seen every freaking mistake possible. I've stepped in it. So as like the guide holding the map on the tour through the jungle of dangers, nothing really seems that scary. Does that make sense? That's why I said today, watch UAN's action today. If this thing gaps down and rallies back strongly, that's going to be good for all the ag names, in my opinion. Would we not agree? Yeah. SMH holding up. Let me check that, Joe. Yeah, it's up $1.60. No, I mean, it looks like it's Amazon back down to its swing point. Apple down. Microsoft down. I mean, it's like, note to self. Red alert. Note to self. New money coming in for the first of the month. Why is Apple, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and all of your favorite names not acting that great? Keep that in mind. That's all I would say. That's all I would say. Be careful. I mean, as we've said, laggards are going to lag. I have no desire to buy trade tech. I have no confidence in up moves. All right, I'm going to rattle through. Yep, new money not going into tech. Yep. Now, again, some might funnel in there, but not aggressively. Money is now realizing, and this is how you know the commodities bull market is starting. Right? Commodities are making higher lows. Tech's making lower lows. Now, again, the next big wipeout, we don't know. Because, again, the VIX has to get, I say this all the time. You got to understand, like, the bear market triggers bottoms with massive VIX spikes, right? Like, a bear market's going to have a monster VIX spike. Our highest high is 39. I doubt it's over. When that happens, that's when you can buy commodities, and they might be making higher lows. You don't know where they're going to get flushed. If you've never lived through days of VIX in the 70s, 80s, 90s range, talk about stocks moving 10 points in 10 minutes. Talk about like volatility at its finest. That's, we don't know where, say, CF will be. But we'll know when the VIX is there. So that's where it's like people are scared. Like fear of missing out. It's like, Okay, say the bear market is over. How, God forbid, how, I have no clue, like how that would engineer out, because nothing would make sense. None of the evidence. Again, a big debt bubble globally has to be unwound. If it is, you can be a little late. This is not a 1-year cycle. This isn't a 1-year super cycle in commodities. I just trying to remind people that, okay? Don't feel like you gotta go all in. That's what I'm like every day, like gold, silver. I'm like, I'd rather be late than early to this crap, because being early is absolute hell. Hell on earth. Hell on earth. I'd rather be a day late than a day early in gold, silver, gold miners. Absolutely. Oh, what you're going to miss out? No, I ain't going to miss out, man. Ain't going to miss out crap. Ain't going to miss out crap. All right, let me rattle through some of the daily stuff. Again, we said with the VIX, not surprised it's consolidating here at 25 before the Fed meeting. Could it pop and flop, chop? I don't know. We're at the next point of control. I personally think, and I've said this again, I think we're getting back down to the 23s, maybe even fill this gap. Market has a lot of money on the sideline. It needs to get put to work. Knowing just in general how that plays out, you're going to have to get frothy. I mean, keep up with the market makers. They want to convince everybody the market's going higher so they can unload into. Just keep that in mind. The dollar, we talked about this yesterday. Under the 20-day, it's not really bullish nor bearish. I mean, at this point, it's not probably going to make a big move either way. The TLT said probably not going to go anywhere until the Feds, but how funny is that? How close we are to the 20-day, something that has been absolute pain for this trend, this 20-day. You can get a little bit over it, but I mean, people are like, oh, you need to buy bonds. I'm like, no. I'll wait for a retest. I mean, if I anticipate oil, gas, commodities going higher, I don't think the TLT is the buy. Makes sense. SPY hits 390. Chopping. Not surprised. Indecision. Holding 38. Again, when you say 385, someone's like, it's at 384, 876. Okay, it's probably going to hold around this area. It was previous support and resistance. Y'all see that? If you want to play some trades, go right ahead. I think that makes sense. If you really got a scalp, you got a very clear defined risk reward. QQQ not making new highs, lagging. IWM is green. How funny is that? I mean, definitely made a new high today. Yeah, it does this along the way. We'll see. Gold. I'm just gonna boom. If you got questions, interrupt me. Just no interest. Yeah, XOP. We like these names. We talked about filling this gap, maybe going on another, cycle run back up to the highs before the market goes lower. USO, congratulations if you bought this yesterday. Talked about the 20-50-day cross, gaps back up near the range highs. I mean, all those headlines yesterday were not bearish at oil at all. Again, doing a windfall tax on oil companies does not bring in more supply. Does not bring on more supply. I don't get it. Whatever. Idiots are in charge. Nat gas. I mean, nat gas, until it goes on the ripper, you can't be surprised by chop. I don't know how to say that over and over again, but that's just the truth. For solar, man, people were so quick to jump on the short at 140. I said, please be careful. Please be careful. No, rips higher. Okay, now what? I mean, I've said this, and I'll say it again. Check the monthly. I mean, if you get over this area, I don't know why you wouldn't get up in the 160s. It's the old range highs for many a months. I mean, I could pull this way back. Oh, never mind. I don't want to pull that. But you get my point. That seems logical. HYG, high, tight, choppy action. It popped up and now holding support here. I mean, hopefully you can see it. I don't mind drawing this stuff for people. Hopefully it's like you pull up on your charts, you're like, that makes sense. Just has to hold there. Other than that, it could be all over the place. Apple, not surprised it's all over the place. I don't know. Amazon talked about 9,900 holding. I don't know, man. These stocks are so hard. Again, like they just don't have that much upside, but they can move 10-15% quickly. I know. It's just you don't know if it's the end of the world. CRM, whatever. Meta, people are like, I gotta buy this. Yeah, we talked about it. Maybe puking the last day of the month. This chart. I mean, do you go on dates with people you're not that interested in because of petty? Just because you feel bad for them. I mean, so why would you go on a date with this stock? I would just no. Microsoft. These names. NDAQ. Did you hit? Oh, you definitely hit it. Oh, no one hit me up. What the schmack, man? What the schmack? We talked about it. What up? All right, putting that alarm back on. Don't want to short it now. I mean, I wouldn't short it today. Y'all know. Netflix. I'm not surprised it's backfilling, but this doesn't look that bad. High and tight. Looks like an IV draw out, sucking out the IV as it holds the high and tight. Tesla seems to be holding up pretty well, man. I mean, I'm not bullish long term, but we talked about this being a bear trap rallying back over the 20-day. I mean, chop, not surprised. Chop, flop around. SMH up $1 today. I mean, as tech's down. I mean, I don't know who's leading it. I really don't care anymore. SMH is just dead to me. Unless you see like 200, I'm not really going to do anything. Nvidia, dead. Nah, whatever. Nucor, man, that's all up a few points today. Yeah. Check this out. Again, I don't advise on any trades. I just advise you to look at it. If Nucor is going to go higher, this zone would make sense needing to hold. Volume at price. I would keep an eye on the 130 area. Letter X, a lot of people like this name. It's cheap. Got to watch the 20-day. I mean, you can see there's volume down here. There be volume down here. You hear VALE, man, the whole Brazilian election thing. I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's another rigged election. I hate to, did I say that out loud? No, I mean another election that is confusing. A lot of volume down here. I mean, when they spin off all that stuff, I mean, we like it. It's just, I don't know. Arrow, nice little gap up today. Could this be a gap and go? I don't know. I mean, again, commodities, they look safer. And now, again, people are like, oh, but they might not. Hey, I'm more worried about the downside, fool. I'm more worried about getting blown out. I don't think these names get blown out. CCJ, I mean, we talked about this thing long term. It's definitely in the right realm, but this pattern's tough. Again, watch these levels because they'll get defended. But if the market tanks, great. Ooh, UAN, man, about to go green? No, it's down $2, but man, this thing is building. It's building. Not again, I usually don't talk about it, but man, it hit the 200. What did it? Spiked up. Okay. Interesting. I mean, that's what you want to see. CF. Earnings after the close tomorrow, hanging out around 106. Mosaic, I think their earnings are next week. Don't quote me on that, but high end. I mean, these look good. Again, like tech is just like bouncing along the bottom of death. These are all trying to like build bases and go higher, potentially. NTR, we talked about getting over the 20-day. Looks good to me. Now, again, this is not ideal to open up, close here, but we'll see. I mean, it's the chop day. AAPL, if you bought this at 39 with the whales, you're swimming in profits right now. That looks pretty solid. EXPI, talked about buying this in the 76, 77 range. Nice work. High and tight really isn't bearish. That's really all I got. I mean, here's another thing. Keep an eye on financials. We talked about like the market ain't tanking if the financials are ripping. JP Morgan, real men of genius, gets everyone to sell the stock and go bearish the market at the lows. And then he rallies his stock. Him, not personally, but then the stock rallies 25%. That's some big dong energy right there. Big dinger energy. Goldman. Not bearish. I don't know. Any questions? Again, whether it has to do with the mine, Discord, anybody. Any questions? Yeah, Wild Warrior. Check out 385, man. Again, I'd be careful with these option pin action stuff. There's a lot of... Oh, I was showing the freaking monthly. Nobody said shit. I just ran through all those on the monthly and no one said anything. That's hilarious. Okay, I guess no one's watching. They're just listening. All right, I get it. There's really not that much to say. That is hilarious. Holy crap, I just ran that on the monthly. Too many screens for my own good. I have to, got to keep on top of that. Hopefully you heard it at least. That is bad. Bad, bad, bad. Bad producer of content. I expect a comment of how useless that was, that little run through. But it was, you could talk about it. Talk about it. Financials. All right. I guess no one has any questions. SPY 384 timeout here. I might have to put on a little scalper. I just want to look at this real quick. Okay. We got that like lower wedge. Yeah, I like this area. Let me turn it to the hourly. Where are you, hourly? Oh, that's the hourly. Stop being a goofball. I can't believe no one said I was on the monthly. Man, no one's watching. That's sad. All right, that's fine. I always review myself. It makes me a better trader. Oh, the 10-minute, not really dumping. You can argue this might be an M pattern. Top chop action. Yeah, you've got, I guess 382s. I don't know. What are the options guys saying? Because, 5 minutes ago they're saying 390 and now they're saying 380. I'm not trying to haze folks, but it's like, is anyone, do they base their life off their astrology? I don't think so. Yeah, I was listening while getting ready. You were dropping gems. The info is the monthly chart, no doubt. No, I know. I'm hard on myself. Yeah, I think you could probably hold this 384 level. Seems like a very logical. Again, it's just really hard to see the market dumping into the Fed meeting. This, again, new money's coming in. At this point, it's volatility. Watching, clearly nobody's buying tech. Which, red alert. I think you can take the SPY scalp here. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Just know that it could get, could you get channel lows before the Fed? Could you get channel lows before the Fed? That becomes the question. Could you break out of the channel as a bear trap before the Fed? These are all the things I'd have in the back of my head. No, I appreciate the support there. You know how it is. I'm just amazed that I'm like, damn it, I did it all in the monthly. If you hold, again, we typically don't talk about moving averages intraday, but clearly this is the 100. That was support. Now it's right at the channel lows. That's what I'd be watching. All right. I am going to be out off and on during the day. At this point, not going to sell anything. Tomorrow, this is the thing. If you have options and the market does drift back, be aware. IV will increase. Your options pricing will go up. Now, the spreads will get super wide right before the Feds, but you will have probably great opportunities to sell options to FOMOers. And when I say FOMOers, the people that are like, I'm watching AA or I'm watching oil and I got to buy it. I can't. I don't know. I just can't wait. And, you've all been there. You're like, oh, God, is it going to run? Is the Fed's going to say something that gets oil to pop $5? You don't know. But the brain will just say, I got to do it. And then you just go, Yeah, I can pull up UUP. I got to do it. I got to act. What's your question, UUP? Here's the hourly. You're at resistance. Now, again, doesn't mean it couldn't go a little higher. That's on the hourly. Is the daily? Yeah, you got the 20-day staring down the barrel of the gun. Justin, I'm not that bullish on the dollar near term. Now, again, this is the thing. I think, what's the best way to describe this other than the anticipation of the dollar rising with the Feds doing the rate hikes? You think about this before we go. The market knows what? Knows what's coming. So if the market knows what's coming, it's clear as day they are actually distributing the dollar. So I would not be accumulating the dollar at all. This is distributive action, in my opinion. Monster run up. And distributing, meaning it could be basing too. No. Everybody knows what the Fed's going to do. As I said, the honest truth is, in my opinion, now again, this is where me versus the evidence, I don't know for sure. If I'm the Feds, I don't want to tank the market in front of the election, because you know who's going to own it? Sleepy Joe. So no, I would not be accumulating the dollar at this point. No, that makes zero sense to me. This thing has been on a monster run. Absolutely, yeah, you're probably ignoring me, I know. You're accumulating, so you're like, oh no, this has been an absolute monster run. I would let it pull back. I would not be accumulating the dollar at all. Because again, the only way the dollar keeps ripping is if the Feds decide to raise more and commodities rise. We haven't even seen the real commodity rise yet. That's a thesis, and I could be totally wrong. But that's just my interpretation of things. Because I would think, ultimately, the most amount of money is taken from the most amount of people of what? Well, if everyone's long the dollar, well, bring it down. If everyone's anticipating a recession, bring commodities right back up. Again, think about it. Now, this is sometimes why people say, like, oh, you're a contrarian. And it's like, well, because if I believe the news is implanting information to get people to lose, then I have to have my eye on things as fake news. And meaning like the headlines. Fake news. Like, think about yesterday, Justin. Oil drops because of a windfall profit tax being pushed by Biden. Is that bearish oil? Clearly not. It drops, and look what happens. It rallies right back today. So the anticipation that somehow the Feds might break out the dollar. Now, again, it could get volatile in front of the FOMC, or on the reaction. It could pop. I just wouldn't trust the dollar going longer and bigger and stronger. Longer, bigger, stronger. No, going higher until the consolidation period in the market peaks. I don't think the market's at the highs. Remember, we talked about this. Man, if you got 2 seconds, I'm going to show you this again, because I think clearly you're not, you may have not have seen this. I don't know if you have or not. Talked about the months before the big spike in the VIX. You had the VIX come down 2 months. Here you go. This consolidating base, I think November at some point is down. Now, again, I don't know if it necessarily clues as red, but I think this is going to have some down in the month. There is going to be some continuation down. If that's the case, right? Would you not be surprised if the dollar also dropped some? How are we going to get the market up and the VIX down? By screaming rocket ship higher of the dollar? No. Again, we're just trying to interpret the evidence. Now, this is a theory based on what? Me thinking that the market is what? Trying to do things that, again, with the bad headlines, think about it, market climbs the wild worry. Sorry, but this rant, I'm trying to make it very clear why I'm bullish near term. Think about all the money on the sidelines. I've showed you guys. There's a 6% plus amount of cash on the sidelines. Usually between 6 and 7, that is extremely bullish. Because positioning-wise, people are out of the market, right? We've talked about this in nauseum. The Feds do not want to tank the market in front of the election. Their bosses and their bosses' bosses don't want to have a screaming lower stock market in front of an election with the dollar screaming higher and the market imploding. We do not agree. And last but not least, The seasonality. If there's no crash in October, November is usually a seasonal bliss for bulls until about OPEX. Does this make sense? Is anybody listening? And again, I hope, and take freaking notes. Go, CF. Get back up there, you son of a biscuit. UAN. Come on, get over 120. Does this make sense? Because you have to think about, like, what's the best way to trick the most amount of people and take about the most amount of money. Everybody's bearish on Wall Street bets. Everybody's bearish on Line. Everybody's bearish on Twitter. You have to remember, if everybody is promoting the same thoughts, is that the market maker Blue Horseshoe loves Anacott Steel? Like, trying to drop the rumors, trying to, like, oh, I heard this from this. If you haven't read the Livermore book, this is literally what operators would do. They'd put on a trade and they would tell 100 brokers to tell 100 people what they're doing. Well, would they also not lie about what they're doing? Abso-freaking-lutely. All right, I'm going to get running. Again, telling you, trading is an art sometimes too. You have to be very thoughtful. Nobody understands that because everyone's always looking for certainty. We're looking through the evidence. We're parsing through it, trying to look at it with an eye on the truth, meaning that we can be wrong. Not that just because we like something or don't like something that it means something. Again, our personal beliefs don't matter. The market's going to do whatever the hell it wants to do. And then just be thoughtful, right? Be thoughtful of the evidence. Like, I'm telling you, if you do not have a trading journal, I'm going to reach through the screen and slap you in the face. Wake up. Think about it like if you are a professional and you have a schedule in front of you, you know your job for the day, you know what you have to do. If you're an athlete and you have to train, you have a schedule with your plan. You sit down trading with no plan, no schedule, no thought process, you're a idiot. Meaning, again, like in general, like that's an idiot move. Oh, I don't have any thought bases for my trades. I'm just kind of winging it and I'm creating every new narrative every time I make a trade. That is scary. That is absolutely scary as hell. To think that you can wake up every day and not be emotionally, different than the previous morning or the previous day, thinking that you're going to wake up and all of a sudden the market's going to look the same and you're going to have to rewrite all of your thesis as a why. Okay, 1 minute you're bearish, 1 minute you're bullish. You want to talk about recipe for guaranteed long-term disaster in trading? That is it. That is absolutely it right there. Because you don't have a plan. You don't have a thoughts. You don't rely on facts or evidence. Every day people do that. They redraw the drawing board. They wake up and they go, all right, well, I'm bullish today. Or they look at the futures. Oh, they're up. I'm green. Oh, the market's down. I'm bearish. I'm telling you, that is the stupidest shit ever. I've done that. And that's why I'm like getting angry because I'm like, I did that. I used to wake up and go, oh, futures are up. It must be a good day. Oh, I think the market's going higher. And then it wouldn't. And I'm like, oh. And then I go back and look at my journal and my notes. And I go, why did you go long when the market was doing this? And it's like, do you want to build upon your own experiences to make money, or do you just want to like wing it? And I'm telling you right now, nobody is good enough to wing it. Nobody. You are not a computer. All right, gonna let that go. Good chat as always. I appreciate y'all. Again, if you think I'm being mean or aggressive, it's because I actually care. I actually care. I don't want you to lose money. I can't guarantee that, but I can guarantee there's certain stupid things that we all do and have made mistakes that will lose money. That's why I'm kind of adamant sometimes in the Discord room, like, why are you doing that? I mean, if you want to flip coins, let's go bet on the game tonight. If you want to flip coins, let's, I don't know, save the money, go on a trip. If you want to kind of risk like that, it's a better life. All right, peace out.